Okay, image number 3. So we're at war. Yeah, it's begun. What had happened was Austria-Hungary moves on Serbia. Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary. Germany backs Austria-Hungary. Russia and France declare war on Germany. Now, this war is going to be the first one in a long time. This is the first war that we've had since the development of some very complicated weapon systems. Things like artillery, things like machine guns, things like really just having your units all drilled and all in the place that they need to be at the same time. The prevailing thought here was get to the battlefield first with the most amount of killing power and the most amount of stuff so that you can roll over your enemy. Now, we're fighting here in old world tactics with new world weapons. So Germany's plan essentially is, everybody's plan is we're going to take our guys, we're going to line them up in wedge formations or whatever, like we used to do with cavalry and archers and stuff in the old days, and we're going to march them into each other and see what happens. No one really understands just how great the killing power that they have on their side actually is. And this will become a problem very, very quickly. However, what you need to understand is Germany at this point is potentially has the greatest army that Europe has ever seen. The might of the Kaiserreich army is almost matchless. Their order, their precision, their intensity, and their training is better than anybody else's. And it's a huge, huge army. Now, one of the things that makes this army huge is that it's kept as one army. So what's going to happen here is Russia is going to begin to fight Austria-Hungary and Germany on behalf of Serbia. Serbia is going to get its butt kicked. But by Russia declaring war and being ready for war, Russia hasn't declared war yet, but they're pressuring and they're moving the troops into position. Germany now has to figure out what's going to happen. They go to the French and say, are you in or are you out? And the French basically don't give them an answer. Germany goes to England and they say, if this gets into war and France gets involved, are you in or are you out? And Britain doesn't give them an answer. If everybody had just said what they were going to do, this probably never would have happened. Germany's plan is what gets them into trouble. They assume that they can't just march right into France along their common border because it's so heavily fortified. So, they also have to deal with the Russians on the other side of the country. In the West, we talk about the Germans having this fear of encirclement in this time period, except for the fact that it's not really a fear. Like, the Germans are being encircled. They have to fight a two-front war automatically because Russia and France have an alliance. So, the plan is this. Everyone assumes that the Russians are going to be slow to mobilize because they're probably the least technologically advanced out of Britain, France, Russia, and Germany. They're the ones who've adopted the Industrial Revolution the latest. So they assume that Russia is going to be slow to respond. Germany's plan is invade France through Belgium, a neutral country. They're going to do this because the Franco-Belgian border really isn't fortified at all because Belgium is, it's small, it's weak. Belgium has kind of realized, hey, we're not going to be able to defend ourselves. We need to make some alliances. They made alliances with France and with Britain. So, Germany knows that it can't split its forces and still expect to win. So what they do is they take their entire army and march almost the entire thing, over 1 million men, through tiny little Belgium. It is planned precisely. They know down to the number of train axles crossing bridges in a given period of time how this is all going to work. They get into Belgium. They're in their beautiful formations, and this is where the killing begins. The plan is invade Belgium, smash through, hope that the Belgians don't resist, smash France as fast as possible, take Paris, put all the entire army onto trains, rush them over to Russia, and then go mop up the Russians. They give themselves something like 700 hours to beat France. By that point, They think that the Prussians are going to be, invading the other side of Germany. So what I wanted to convey in this image is the general order that we have here, right? Like everything is precise, it is clean, it is neat, and it looks very imposing. It's terrifying to see something so ordered coming at you. And I used toy soldiers throughout all of this because this is really how the generals are going to view their men. They're going to see their men not for what they're going through, because before this, the odds of dying in war are relatively low. There's going to be some fighting, but the battles aren't going to last that long. What's going to change here is that everybody's in contact or fighting with one another for extended periods of time. And the killing is going to be intense, especially in the beginning of the war when they're fighting with old world, fire and move tactics, like walking around and marching at each other. A lot of people are going to lose their lives because the generals simply haven't practiced. They don't know what these weapon systems are going to do, and even as the war ramps up and we delve into trench warfare and things get really bad, they're going to view their men as if they're just a resource. They're going to consistently not take into account the fact that their troops need rest and that they need support, and that you can't expect them to continue to fight for weeks and weeks on end.